Good morning, everyone. Today I am really excited. We are going to test render and do some deployments to render and just see how to set that up, everything that we'll need for this class. So first things first, if I go to render.com, so I tested out render for my first time yesterday by myself. I just created a new email account that I could use to test this. And you notice that when I go to sign up for render, it has these options. Now, I could just sign in with my email and that'd be fine. But later on, we're going to connect to GitHub anyways. So let's go ahead and make a GitHub account first. So let's go to github.com. If you already have a GitHub account, don't create a new one. You're totally good. So let me go ahead and create this. So I'll enter my email. I actually forgot what my email was. I think I wrote it down. Let's see here, right there. Okay. And that works fine. And I'll say Nathan B test. See if that works. Nice. Would you like to receive product updates? Nope. Okay. Verify your account. Let's start this puzzle. Spiral Galaxy. Okay, and let's just say create. All right, let's go over to my email and verify this. I'll just copy that, paste it in there. All right, so I'm going to say, today I'm a student. I'm just going to say just me. I am not really going to worry about any of this stuff. We can always add stuff later on if we want to. But let's not worry about any of it right now. All right, let's see here. If you want to apply for GitHub student benefits, you can. I think you have to send them a picture of your iCard and something. There's some authorization process that it goes through. I'm just going to say continue for free though. For everything that we need for this class, that'll work great for us. All right, so here we are. Fresh new GitHub account. I'm going to say create repository. I'm going to call this awesome 341 project. And I'll go ahead and leave it as public. I'm not going to check anything else. I'll just leave it like that. Okay, now if we look back here, we need to sign up for GitHub. All right. I now have a Git repository that I'll put all my code in for this project for CSE 341. But what I can do, I can go and say, okay, let's sign up for render. Okay, render by render, would like permission to do this. I'll say yes. I want them to be able to connect to my GitHub account. So I'll say complete sign up. We're going to have to go back to my email. I can delete that one. Render. I'll click on that to go ahead and verify this. Email confirmed. You're ready to go. Sweet. Okay, so that's all it took to create my render account. Okay, so and if you already had a GitHub account, that was like 2 clicks and a click from Gmail or whatever email provider you use. Okay, but this is ready to go. Let's go ahead. Before I actually do anything with render, I need a project up and running. So I actually have this project that's ready to go. Let me just show you what this project looks like real fast. I have this git ignore. Why isn't that showing node modules in there? Oh, I don't think this is connected to a Git repository yet. So I'm just gonna, let's see if I can do it from here. I'll say initialize repository. And let's see, I don't know how to, remote, add remote. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, so let me go to this. Here's my remote that I want. So I'm just gonna copy that. And then over here, I'll say add remote. I'm just gonna paste that. Say add remote from URL. And my remote name, I'll just say GitHub. Okay, so now it should be connected. All right, if I look back over here, I want node modules and my .env file ignored. My application to connect to a database it's going to use .env. So you can see MongoDB is connecting through here, but I don't have any sensitive information stored in my code. Instead, I have a variable that's coming from my env file. Now I'm going to close this a bunch and open this up here, and here's what it looks like. I have one variable, MongoDB_URI equals, and then my whole connection string. You'll see a lot of tutorials online where they have, you know, a MongoDB username and MongoDB password. I just have my whole connection string right here. Either, they both work. Okay, so I'm going to close that. Just thought I'd show you that there. My Node modules is already installed. If my Node dependencies weren't installed, I would just run npm I first. But I'm not going to do that now because I already did that. So I'll just say npm start. And this command is coming from right here. Okay. And it says listening on 8080. Now, the way that we test a backend API is with a REST client. So we have this REST client in here. It's really great. If I go into extensions in VS Code and I just search for REST client, this comes up and it's awesome. You can see a lot of people have downloaded it. A lot of people really love it. It has great documentation. It shows you examples for everything that you would need to do. It shows you how to do a post and puts and gets and all this stuff. And it's awesome. Okay. So I love using REST client. And so I could go ahead and try one of these requests. It's running on localhost 8080, which is what I'm going to try to request from. And I'm just going to hit send request. And you can see it successfully connected to my database and everything's working out great. I should be able to grab one of these IDs and test get contact by ID. And I'll say send request. And you can see we got that single contact back. Okay. I'm not going to go too much into this video with how this is working. Suffice it to say, we have this contacts addition to our URL, which is why all of these show contacts first. And then inside that contacts.js file, I have different rules in place and different functions associated with each to say what logic I want to have take place when I do that. So here are the two that we just ran. We have get all, just a simple request to MongoDB, find everything in the contacts collection. And this one gets that ID, and we find everything in the contacts collection where the ID is equal to user ID. Okay, so long story short, my Node application is working great. I haven't tested everything, but it's enough that it's running without errors, and I was able to test a couple things. Okay, now what I want to do is deploy this. Okay, so let me first push this to GitHub. If I look in here, I can see my git ignore is ignoring node modules and .env. If I look over here at where I'm going to commit, I also want to include this ds store. So I'm going to come over here into my git ignore, and I'm just going to add ds store. Is that how it was? Almost. Oh, but it looks like it got it, so that must not be case sensitive. I'll go ahead and save that, and you can see that doesn't show up in here anymore. And I'm looking at everything else, and it all looks great. This is actually a fake password. I'll go ahead and take that out. But yeah, I'll go ahead and leave the rest of this as it is. Okay, and I'll just say first commit. I'll just put in here functional API. Okay, and I'll say commit and publish branch. Okay, it says I don't have permissions to do this. If you come across this issue, you'll just have to run a couple of commands. So let me go back over here, and we'll just say git push. What was our error that we had? You don't have permissions. Okay, you don't have permissions to push. Okay, cannot push to git repository. Okay, we are not going to use SSH. I mean, you can use SSH if you want to. Let's see here. Basically, I just have to make sure that GitHub knows that I am who I say I am. And so I'm just going to Google git user config. Oh, it's because the user that I'm signed in with in here, my test user that I just created, isn't the one that I'm signed into on my computer. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into settings, and I'll go into add collaborators, add people, Nathan Birch. That's my real one. And I'll say add Nathan Birch to this repository. Okay, Now let's try that. And come back over here. Let's see. No, I don't want to create a, oh my heavens. All right, I'm gonna turn that off for a sec. I don't know how to move that. I'm gonna say no. All right, let me try publishing again. You don't have permissions. No. Okay. I look over here. Awaiting Nathan Birch's response. Well, let me go and respond then. That is fine. Okay, let me go ahead. I'm just going to move this to another window here. And I'll move this back to where it was. Okay, let's see. Let me just collapse that so I can drag this over here. Okay, so I see I got an invitation to join. Accept invitation. Okay. Now, hopefully it'll let me publish this. Hey, nice. All right, let's go back. I'm going to put that back on full screen. Let's come back over here. I'm going to go over to code. And hopefully, there we go. We have code here. It says Nathan Birch is our first commit. And that looks perfect. Okay, so notice that even though I'm signed in to GitHub here, it's using like the Git configuration that I have set up on my computer, which is why it's showing that Nathan Birch is that first commit, and not, and not my test email here. Okay, so that's ready to go. Let's head over to render. And here, I guess I could click on new. I'm just going to click on new web service. An API is a web service. And I'll just copy this URL. And I'll just paste it right here. Oh, that's weird. I already connected GitHub. Let me refresh this because I signed up with GitHub. Kind of defeats the purpose of signing up with GitHub. Okay, well, it looks like we're signed in. I just had to authorize it one more time. So, sweet, I found my repo. I'm going to say connect. And I'm going to say this has to be unique because it'll be like the domain for it. And I'll say Nathan 341 test. Node, Oregon, master yarn. We can keep all that the same. The one thing that I would have you check is just to make sure what branch you're on. I could say git branch and see which one that I'm on. I could also see this in GitHub. I can see the name of that branch here. Okay, because that's where it'll deploy from. Even if you're not, we're using Node for our package manager, but render is going to use yarn to handle this. Okay, and then our start command is node server.js. Again, I just want to make sure that it kind of matches this command here. Okay, and really that my index file where we listen on a port is called server.js. Okay, as long as it's called server.js, then we should be good. If you have something like this, if you're using NodeMon, that's fine, and I'm sure there's a way to work this out on render. But again, this is like I just looked at render yesterday for the first time. So what I would say is do like a dev start script and have NodeMon there and just node here. Okay, and then anytime I want to run it locally, I could say npm run dev start. Okay, and then it'll run it on NodeMon locally, which is great. But render, when it goes in to do its stuff, it doesn't need this NodeMon dependency. It'll just run node server.js. Okay, so node server.js, that's good. Free, good, and create web service. Okay, this might take a second. Let's see what happens. Build's too slow. We're not going to upgrade today. So this is showing that there's a build in progress. I'm going to go, just out of curiosity, I'm just going to start a little stopwatch here. And move it over here. Better let me. There we go. This will show the logs as it updates. And I'm only starting the stopwatch. I'm just kind of curious to see how long it takes. I'm going to pause this video. And when we come back, we'll just see where everything landed. All right, so this is still going. I think it got into a loop. It's only been going for about 5 minutes and it still shows in progress. But I am noticing an error that I've seen many times. It says cannot read property starts with of undefined. If we were to go through this, you can see it's trying to access Mongo client. It's coming from server.js. It looks like line 16. And so if I looked at that, just out of curiosity, what's on line 16? We're trying to init the database. We're trying to initialize the database. Let's see if there's anything else. Connect.js, line 12. So go to Connect.js, line 12. Let's see what's there. Okay, so starts with of undefined. The only variable we're really using here, I guess it could be connect inside of Mongo client, or env in process, or this in env, right? I would venture to say that this is probably defined, and this is as well. But if we have this starts with of undefined trying to connect to our Mongo database, it's because we haven't set up our env file on render.com. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so I'm going to stop that. And then right here, I don't know if, let's see, I'll just move that over. Let's see, I don't know if I can stop this, but that's okay. If I go into environment over here, you see this button here to add environment variables. That's what we're going to use. Okay, so we have our key and our value. And if I look in my env file, I already showed you guys this. We have that MongoDB URI key. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to move that to the other screen. And I'm going to open up this env file. I'm just going to copy that key and paste it here. So everything before my equal sign. And then I'm going to grab everything after my equal sign. And I'm going to paste it right here. Okay, I'm going to pause this just for a sec. Okay, unpaused. I just pasted the value of that key here. And I'll just hit Save Changes. All right, now that that's there, that's the only environment variable that we were using locally, and it worked out great locally. And it does show that it's in Node, it's this process.env. Okay, so if I go back over to events, you'll see we have a couple more events. You'll probably have one less. I accidentally showed my environment file a second ago, so I had to edit our video a little bit. But when I do change an environment variable, it will automatically trigger a deploy. And so let's see, that one is canceled. It looks like this one's still going. I can click on this and watch the logs. Okay, I'll go ahead and bring our stopwatch back over, and I'll just hit reset. Okay, and we'll just kind of watch this go for a minute, and then I'll come back. All right, so this just finished up, and you can see now it says connected to BD or to DB and listening on 10,000. Okay, so that 10,000 doesn't matter because we're using our port. And it found that port on render, and that's what it's using. But it does say it's running it, and it looks like it's running it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to reset that. It took about 7 minutes to do it, maybe 7.5. I probably started it late. I'm going to hit start again, and what we're going to do, I'm just going to come. Let me move that for a sec. So here's my URL, right? I should be able to just open this up in the browser. I'm going to test this, and you can see that it can't be found. Okay, we have this 404 error, which is a resource not found or page not found, and so it's not up and running yet. There's something that has to happen with DNS caching. I have no idea, right? But anyways, it says it's deployed, it says it's running, but it does take some time, which is why I started this other timer or this other stopwatch. Okay, what we are going to do though, I'm going to open up VS Code again. Let me just bring that over here. All right, and what I want to do, I want to go over here into my routes.rest file, and I have all this testing stuff for localhost setup. I'm going to copy it all, except for localhost, and I'm just going to paste it underneath my production comment. Okay. Now, if you wanted to, you could totally make two REST files. I could say local.rest, render.rest, or production.rest, whatever I wanted. I'm just going to leave mine in the same file for now. But everything underneath this production section, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to select, I'm going to hit Command D or Control D on a Windows computer. I'm going to select all those localhost 8080s from there. from this production section. Okay, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to head back over here. I'm going to copy that, and I'll just hit paste. Okay, so now my localhost ones are all localhost 8080, and my production ones are all my unique project name, Nathan341test.onrender.com, and everything else is exactly the same. If I hit send this request, I'm expecting, yeah, we get this 404 not found error because my resource still isn't up and running. Okay, so I'll be testing this every few minutes while I'm working on some other stuff. I will leave this right here. Okay, this will respond the exact same way as the browser. Okay, if I just keep on hitting refresh here, I'll just keep on seeing this 404 for a while. Yesterday when I was testing, I was also seeing a 503. So I saw 404 for like, I don't remember, like 10-ish, 15-ish minutes. And then I saw a 503 for like a minute or two. And then it started working. Okay, so I'm just going to leave this. I am going to just test it in here because we'll be able to just run these. Oh, whoops. 500. I tried to delete the contact. That's okay. Let's see. So let me just send that one again. Yes, we're still getting that 404. Okay, I'm going to pause this. Let me put that back where it belongs. Okay, and we can just watch that timer, and I'll come back in a minute. So I was running this about each minute, and I caught it at about 9 minutes and 41 seconds when I actually got a response back. Okay, so how long does it take it for it to go from your deployed state after you have a successful build to actually being, accessible online? For me, it was about 10 minutes. Okay, I should be able to test it the exact same way that I was doing it with localhost. I could replace that ID. Oh, that was the same one. I could replace that ID with a different one and say send the request, and it's going to this resource. Okay, if I could go in here and just say, hey, I actually don't need this running. Okay, so I'll trash that and that. I don't have this project running. If I tried to run a local request, it says the connection was rejected. Okay, and then if I try to run that remote request for my production environment, oh, we get that 404. Oh, there we go. I was worried for a sec. Okay, we run that and we get everything back in my database. Okay, so if we come back over here, if I did want to look in the browser by default performs GET requests. Wow, I'm actually surprised it's not doing anything. Oh, it's probably because I don't have a route set up. Nope, that's okay. But anyways, I wouldn't be able to test like a delete or a put or a post or anything within the browser. I could technically test a get. It looks like this is going to take, oh, there it is. Okay, and so we just get that data back in this JSON format. But it's a lot nicer to be able to test it here. It's a lot more intentional, and I can also test all of my different types of API requests or HTTP request types. So anyways, I hope that this was helpful in kind of getting everything set up. Now, if I ever make a change, so let's see here, I made a change to my package.json, and I made a change to my routes.rest file. If I did make a change here, I'll just say updating package.json and adding deploy link for REST file. That is okay. I'll say commit and sync changes. If I go over to GitHub, we should just see that second commit show up, okay, from right now, and then the other one from 38 minutes ago. And then if I go over here and click on events, you can see that a deploy started, and you can see it's updating package.json and deployed link for REST file. Okay, and so we have this automatic deploy system set up. It's really awesome, and I can watch it if I want to, or once I finish an assignment, I just push up the code to GitHub, and it'll just cascade to render. It'll kick off that process, and it'll do it. So, anyways, that is it, you guys, for setting up render. I guess we set up GitHub today too, doing our environment variables, which we needed to run. You'll notice that I don't have any sensitive data stored in here. When I go into DB and I click on connect, we're using that environment variable, which runs successfully locally with this .env file, and it runs successfully on render because of this environment variable that we put in. So, okay, well, you guys, I hope that this video was helpful. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. Thanks.